Okay, I think we did it. Oh, how are you guys today? I'm really nervous, but also really excited. But I've also been talking all day yesterday, this morning, actually all week. I've had a lot of like speaking gigs to talk to different organizations. I actually get to speak at the city of San Antonio today, which is fun. And I've just been really busy, but happy to be here talking to you guys. I always say I should do more live streams and then I don't. But we're doing one today, so that's good. So I asked on my community tab just to get us started. That way you guys can put stuff in the chat and I can read it as we're going. But to get us started, I asked for questions on the community tab, what things you wanted to talk about in honor of Earth Day. So I have a few different topics I just want to like start with. But feel free to throw anything you want in the chat and then we'll turn it into more like a normal Q&A. But just to get us started so that I'm not just sitting here like twiddling my fingers, you know. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So the first thing I saw a question was what I went to school for, what my major was, what classes I took, and what jobs you can get with that degree. I actually get that question a lot. And I think that in honor of Earth Day, when a lot of people are getting inspired, especially young people who are like trying to figure out if they want to do environmental science as a major, it's a good topic for the day, right? So, but if it doesn't apply to you, I don't want to spend so much time on it because I actually have a whole video about my environmental science degree, what jobs you can get with it if you want to go watch it. It's old, but most of it still applies. But regardless, so for this question, I wanted to say there's so much you can do with an environmental science degree. I usually break it down into public and private sector work. So private sector would be like working for consultants. You could be an environmental consultant. That's really popular. I have friends who work in the oil and gas industry, but who help them like regulate and meet EPA regulations and those sort of things. Not a job for me, but it's an option. And then obviously you can work for like nonprofits, you can do organization, you can do community outreach, all sorts of stuff. And then in the public sector is more like what I did. So I worked for universities, I worked for the state, I worked for AmeriCorps, all sorts of different things that you can do with an environmental science degree. But I did want to say like my best tip, and this applies for anybody who's graduating, not just if you care about doing something with the environment, but it's check like job hiring sites. So if you think you want a degree in environmental science, look up jobs that require a degree in environmental science and see if that's a job you want to do. And vice versa, same thing. If you know what job you want to do, look up that job on a job listings website and see what requirements they have, what degrees they want. Because aside from just like straight environmental science, like if I went back to school, I guess I would keep the major I got. But if I wanted to go like into the workforce, I would have done something more specific. So when you're looking at environmental jobs, a lot of times they want just regular science degrees like biology, ecology, chemistry, a lot of the times. And then they also a lot of times want degrees in public health, like if that makes sense. So like environmental health and safety type of jobs, and engineering, like environmental and civil engineering is really popular if you want to go into environmental work. But there's also a lot of things you can do out there without degrees at all. And actually, let me see if I can get this. Oh God, my laptop's like kind of far away from me, but there's an environmental jobs board actually. Let me by my friend. Well, she's not my friend, but I follow her on Instagram. I always say people I follow on Instagram are my friends. But Brown Girl Green, they have. Let me find her. They have an environmental jobs board. So, and that's also a really good place to start. I'll try to link it in the chat. I just got to find it for you. But yeah, so that was the first question I saw. And that's my biggest recommendation is definitely always looking up the jobs you think you want or looking up what jobs you can get with the degree you think you want and going from there. Because I wish I had done that when I started that. Okay, I'm going to drop this. Yeah, I'm going to drop this link in the chat real quick. And then I'll look to your comments in the chat and we'll keep going. Also, thanks everybody for being here. I feel like I don't say this enough because I just get so busy and in my head about things, but I forget how cool it is to have a community full of people who like give a shit about the same things I do. So thank you guys so much for being here. I'm really excited to do these live streams. Every time I do them, I just feel like they're so fulfilling to actually get to talk to you. And I should prioritize doing them more. Anyway, okay. So I have my iPad right here, by the way, so I can see questions from you guys. So, sorry, I'm just reading your questions. Okay. So, sorry, I'm gonna go back to your questions that you guys asked on the community tab. Keep putting your questions in here. I just want to make sure that we cover things that like everybody's interested in. That's always my struggle with the live streams. It's hard to like make sure we cover things that everybody wants to hear about. Okay, so another question that I got, which is very specific. So I also just never want to talk on things or speak on things as an expert when I'm not an expert in those fields. So, sustainability, especially as individual actions, changes, those sort of things, that's my specialty. Like, that's where I focus, and I've been focused on it for like a decade now. So, I feel very comfortable always helping people make changes in their community, make changes in their lives, all this sort of stuff. I'm not like an expert in what sort of like more environmentally friendly vehicle you should buy. But I got this question. I get this question actually quite often. And it's basically looking to buy a new car soon with all the talk about electric batteries being toxic, hybrid cars breaking all the time. What's the right choice? If you guys don't know, I drive a Prius because I work from home, so I don't commute on a daily basis. Like I realized the other day I had left something in my car 2 weeks ago and I hadn't been in my car in that long. So I don't use my car very often, but when I do, it's long distances. I'm driving to Houston. I'm driving to Montana. Like electric doesn't work for that yet. I hope that someday it makes sense for us to be able to do that. The infrastructure needs to be there. But I think electric vehicles, as far as efficiency goes, are definitely like a more efficient, sustainable option. I still think that mass transit and like public transit will always be the key to solving the climate crisis, but like single passenger vehicles are not the most sustainable option. But obviously, we live in a world where those are necessities for many, many people. So, as far as like the batteries being toxic and like it's not necessarily that they're toxic as much as mining them is harmful to local communities, destructive to the environment, all those sort of things. I find it very peculiar that that framing has happened. I almost feel like it comes directly from the automotive industry, the fossil fuel side of it, because so many things that we use in normal fossil fuel cars are toxic and awful to extract, harmful to communities, all those sort of things. Not to take away from the fact that lithium has its problems, but everything we buy has a problem. And I don't like this mentality of this one thing is really, really bad, but like literally everything we buy has very similar impacts to those things. So that's always been my philosophy. And I don't think that's any different for electric vehicles. I would still recommend buying one secondhand. Like, that's what I think makes the most sense. And also to this point of people saying that hybrids break down a lot. I mean, I've driven a hybrid for years and I've never had a single issue with it mechanically at all. I also know many, many people who have owned hybrids for over 10 years still driving today. I think, again, this is just like a talking point. I don't think it's true. And I think that if you want to buy a vehicle, regardless, you should do a lot of research into what the most like long lasting car is, which is why I ended up buying a 2015 Prius. That's why I bought it, because they're very long lasting, the most fuel efficient car on the road, other than like EVs, obviously. And that's my recommendation. But again, I'm not a car specialist. I can just give you what like I know off like, from my experience, basically. I just want to say, like, I'm not a car expert. Oh, thank you so much, Shelly. Just got here, not sure what the topic is, but you're looking super cute today. Get it, girl. I appreciate you very much. No specific topic. I just I'm doing a lot of talks today for Earth Day, and I saw that there was a break in my schedule, and I thought, well, I should probably talk to you guys because, like I was saying at the beginning of this, every time I do it, I just feel like very fulfilled. And I don't know about anybody else, like, but if you work in climate action, if you work in like content creation, sustainability in any way, and you've been prepping for Earth Day, you're probably very tired. I am very tired. And I just thought that coming to see what you guys wanted to ask or what you want to talk about or what you're doing for Earth Day would re-energize me. Honestly, that's why I wanted to do this. So if you also want to pop in the chat right now what you guys are doing for Earth Day, like to celebrate, I'd love to hear it. There's actually, this is so crazy, but there's a fashion show, a sustainable fashion show in San Antonio today, which is so cool. And I was invited to attend like a while ago. So I am planning to go. I just don't have any shoes because it's cocktail attire and I don't own any heels, guys. That's just not me. I checked the thrift store yesterday. I didn't find anything that was like good for the dress. I rented a dress to wear to it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm also gonna plant some stuff in my garden because I feel like it's really important to reconnect with nature. Like that's kind of what Earth Day was founded on, activism and like loving nature and protecting it. So I think like spending time outdoors and like it's like a really good way to celebrate Earth Day. And I might go on a walk also if I have time and just pick up some trash just to actually like do something that's more than just me talking today. So yeah, what are you guys doing? Let's see. Excuse me. Hi from Canada. Hi guys. Let's see. Sorry. You guys can tell me what you're doing today. I would love to hear. Thank you so much for all you do. You inspired me. I love when you guys say this stuff. It makes me so happy. Oh, my light turned off. It's kind of gloomy today. Yeah. Propagating our succulents. Love to see it. Madison Wilcox. I'm going to turn my light back on. Maybe. If it's not dead. It might be dead. It's dead. Love that for me. Okay. Let's see. Oh, there's more. I'll look at the chat down here. It's easier for me to look at these. Oh, okay. I also get this question a lot. I've seen a lot of this in the chat, and I also like got this question on the community tab. It's one of my most asked questions, and that is how to convince your friends and family to live sustainably. And I think I've responded to this a few times. I've never really convinced anyone in my family to do anything, unfortunately. That's one of the biggest reasons I turned to social media when I started this channel, because I felt like I wasn't getting support in my community from things that I was incredibly passionate about, and it just wasn't great for me. So I turned to the internet, to be honest. And I actually have a video coming out about this. Or I'm working on a video right now about how to convince your friends and family to be more sustainable, because obviously it's my most asked question and it's something I'm always working towards. But something I always find a little bit hard when I'm writing scripts like this is what specific questions do you guys have? Because I personally don't think there's any magical words or information that I can present or that you can to convince someone to care. If it's more focused, maybe I can help you. But I really just think, like, overall, we all have different lived experiences. Our passions are all different. And honestly, people are really busy. So it's hard to get them to take the time to get educated and make changes. And at the end of the day, I would rather us spend our time and energy influencing change in our communities and like building community, doing community actions, focusing on larger scale change than really spending a lot of time and energy trying to make our friends and family change. Now, of course, I still think it's important to have those conversations, but I just think a lot of people get really down about their friends and family not caring about the same things they do or doing the same things they do. And I don't want you guys to ever get stuck in that cycle, because I've been there and it's not helpful, right? It's not productive. And there's so much we can be doing rather than focusing on the things we can't do. So that's kind of my thing. But if you want to drop anything in the chat, I can't read every single thing while we're doing this, but there will be a live chat replay. And I often go back and read your questions and your comments. So if you have specific things you want me to include in that video of how to change your friends and family's mind, please leave it in the chat and I will definitely come back and read that after the craziness of all the talks I'm giving today is over. Also, I'm going to drop my Instagram in the chat right now, because I did this little collaboration with my graphic designer, and we made this little graphic that basically is just a few fun ways to celebrate Earth Day with your friends and family. So it's just like today's small things that you can do with them to get them interested, to kind of start to shift their minds. And I think these are all really good places to start. So if you want to go check that out, hopefully that's also helpful. I feel like that was good. Okay. Let's see. When companies, excuse me. Someone said, how are you liking the Lomi? Is there a video coming? Which I find interesting, because I actually keep seeing that question. But I posted a video a few weeks ago where I talked about several ways to compost, and one of them is the Lomi. I personally don't need the Lomi. And I also did a live stream about it when it first got released. I personally don't need a Lomi because I have 3 other ways that I compost in my home. So I think the Lomi is a good solution when you don't have those options. But I gave it away on Instagram, the Lomi that I have. Hopefully the winners are going to be receiving that sometime this week. And that's the compost video I made, if you want to go watch that. But I think at the end of the day, composting that requires energy should be a last resort. Like, it makes sense for a lot of people who don't have access to other things, but and it's very expensive. So at the end of the day, I think Lomi is caught a lot of attention because it seems like an easy, new, cool innovation. But at the end of the day, like, I think using compost in any other way first is ideal. Does that make sense? Sorry, plugging in my light. So that's my answer on that. How do you dispose of old mattresses? You guys have very specific questions, but like, why not? We're here. When we got rid of our old mattress in our old house, we looked for a mattress recycling system near us. Actually, it was kind of crazy because we had to pay to recycle the mattress. When I feel like normally people pay you for recycling, like you're giving them something that they're going to turn into materials and earn money on. Why am I paying you? It was a little weird. I don't know if they're all like that, but just the closest one to our house was, and that's basically it. Just look up mattress recycling near you. You can go drop it off. Or sometimes they'll come pick it up. We personally had to rent a like a van from Home Depot to move some stuff around while we were moving. So we just took it there. But yeah, just look up mattress recycling near you. How do you get confidence to speak in public? That's also a good question. In college, I worked for the Office of Sustainability. I was an intern, and then I became their social media manager and an outreach specialist, which basically meant I talk to people all the time, which is really funny because now it's not so bad that I do speaking on my computer because it's just me and like I don't have to look people in the face to do it. I'm a lot more introverted now, but still, for some reason, public speaking is like a huge passion of mine. And I think some people are just naturally good at it, but I think also practice is what makes you good at it. I'm never going to forget the first time I spoke in public at Texas A&M, and I thought I was going to die. But at the end of it, I actually had so many people come up to me and thank me for being for talking about the topics I did and for being so engaging. And that gave me a confidence boost in general. But then I would practice in my mirror and just practice with it, really, is what comes to it. And I think the more I start talking about doing actions in our communities, it's really important for all of us to find the confidence to speak about the things we care about. Like tabling events and community outreach, all those sort of things are really important for people who care about the planet. So practice makes perfect. If I can do it, you can do it. I promise. Let's see. Would you ever write a book on sustainability? Probably not sustainability. I feel like there's so many books out there already about it, and well-written ones as well. And I just feel like kind of contributing to that is adding something where there's already a lot of wisdom, like Braiding Sweetgrass. I just finished reading that for the second time. And my friends have published so many books on like zero waste and consumerism. So I just think like that's done. But I do have a couple ideas for books. As an introvert trying to get more into community building, I'm really interested in that. I feel like that's a topic that really hasn't been touched on a lot. And I've also thought about making a book about like, should you major in environmental science? But I'm not the best writer. I feel like I used to be, and now I've been in therapy. And so that I'm talking like that's incorporated into a lot of the things I say these days. But I'm learning that I have a very like neurodivergent brain, which is not the most fun to learn as you're almost 30, but it's helpful. And I find that like writing is not the best medium for me to create. So I'm not sure that books would be the best way for me to communicate. But I appreciate you guys wanting to support me in that way. I am working on a few different projects that hopefully will come out this year and will give you more access to longer form content and more in-depth topics. So stay tuned for that. I appreciate that though. That's really sweet. This is how do you cut down on your I think I wanted to I linked the video for you guys. Okay. How do you cut down on consuming? And that's something I've been working at for again like a decade. And I actually have a whole video about it. I'm just gonna pop things in the chat for you guys. So I have a video literally about how to stop consuming. And I usually try to release that around the holiday season because that's when people are buying so much crap. So I'm going to drop that in the chat for anybody who wants to know, because it's been a journey and I do have a lot of like advice, but it's more than I can cover right now. But I can definitely link this video for you. Sorry, I'm just going to copy it, drop it in the chat. Okay, yeah, so that's my video about how to stop shopping. Nice. What else do you guys have? Someone wants me to talk about eco-anxiety, or I guess there's a lot of questions about eco-anxiety. Excuse me. Again, something that's taken me years and years to work through, and I think that's really the only advice anyone should be giving on it. Well, there's a couple things. I think that like taking time off of social media and being very conscious of that is a good thing to do. Not doom scrolling. Like there's so much information out there and it's good to be informed, obviously. But at the end of the day, like we need to put down the phones and like go do it. Like go do the work, go do stuff in your community, do tabling events, write to your representatives. Like I actually made a whole list because I saw in the community tab someone asked how to do actions beyond themselves. And I think when it comes down to eco-anxiety, getting stuff done, like actually doing something that makes you feel fulfilled and like you're making a difference is going to help, obviously. And then the second thing is like just go outside and be in nature and enjoy nature and remember why you care about the planet and why you're still like doing the work that you do and like making changes in your life and all that sort of stuff. And also therapy, you guys. Okay, I've always been a big advocate of therapy. I've been in and out of therapy for a lot of my life. It's the only way I've learned to deal with my anxiety in general. And I use those same techniques to deal with eco-anxiety, which is to actively work against focusing and fixating on things that I cannot control. That's basically what anxiety is, like loss of control. I have a lot of issues around that. But only time and actively working on it has changed that. I know I'm not a mental health professional, and I think that more mental health professionals are learning about eco-anxiety and how to deal with it. Last year, and I don't know if Silk is doing it again this year, probably not. I haven't heard about it. But last year, I wish I knew how to get to the link. Maybe it's on my page. I'll scroll back. I collaborated with Silk, the milk brand, on this. They basically were paying for people to get free climate counseling, and the counselor that they provided for free was actually so helpful. And I think that might still be a resource on their page. So I'm just going to check real quick if I can find the link. If I don't find it now, I'll definitely like pin it. Yeah, I don't have the link, but I'll find it. There's like specialists out there who focus on that, and I think that should be left to mental health professionals, because I can tell you what's worked for me, but what works for me, just as with any other mental health like concerns, is not going to work for everybody. So yeah. Okay, Nadia, I love that name. I love the name Nadia so much. No question, but a huge thank you from Toronto, Canada, for being one of my biggest inspirations in making steps to living mindfully and sustainably. Thank you. I appreciate that, Nadia. You guys are so sweet. And yeah, like this is the reason I want to do the live stream, right? Like it very much reinvigorates me when I'm tired. I'm just so tired. I won't get into it. But aside from just like doing a lot of speaking and a lot of content, I also haven't been sleeping very well, and that's just probably because I'm busy and stressed. But yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that. That's very sweet. Let's see. Refillable moisturizer/moisturizer bars. I feel like I talk about this a lot, but this is my lifeline. I have one of these everywhere, in my office, by my bed, in my car, in my backpack, in my travel bag. Well, yeah, I'm going on a very exciting trip next week, you guys, and I'm so excited. But I have also their travel size one in my suitcase. I use plain. And sometimes I feel like I like to talk about the brands that I personally use, that I've been using for years, because I can speak to their quality and their testament. I can give testament to how good they are. But I'm sure there are plenty of other brands out there. That's just the one I use. It's called Plain. And what was I going to say? I have one upstairs. I think it's called Moon Valley. That's a moisturizer bar, which is really cool. It's just not what I use on like a daily basis. So I'll let you know that. I'm looking at your chat questions. Let me know. Just leave your questions in the chat. I'm just looking at them down here on my iPad. Okay. Do you have solar powered items that you use regularly? Yes, I have. Well, but like, okay. So I really would love to have solar panels on my home. And people ask me this all the time why we don't. It's because this is not our forever home. It's actually like the idea was to be already not living in this house anymore and to move back to Austin. The housing market is just a little crazy, and we can't afford to put solar panels on a house that then we are not going to be living in, obviously. So our next home, stay tuned. But in general, I have a solar panel outside in my backyard that charges a battery that's like kind of huge. That's for my emergency preparedness kit, but I keep it charged all the time and we use it for things outside. Like when we need to plug in the saw, that battery is out there and that's solar powered, which is cool. And I have fans that I use for the chicken coop because they get hot. They're solar powered. And I have my camera over here. One of my security cameras is powered by solar. So I do use it. But that's a really specific question. So I just yeah, I do, and I wish I could do more renewable energy. I actually just joined this program through Nest. Is it called Renew? I think it's called Renew. So Nest has this new program where if you opt into it, it will optimize your home's energy use for obviously for cooling and heating your home, to optimize using electricity when the grid is sourcing it from renewables, which is really cool. Like it monitors when high demand times are and utilizes it when it's a lower demand to use renewables, because our grid in Texas and probably most of the US is mixed with renewables and fossil fuels. And when the demand is higher, they have to kick on those dirtier forms of energy. When demand is lower, we're drawing a lot from wind because we create a lot of wind energy in Texas. So the new program through Nest helps me utilize that without even thinking about it, which is very, very cool. So yeah, I just want to tell you about that. Okay. Caitlin, your videos have helped me make changes in my life. Thank you for making the videos you do. Thank you. Okay, this will be fun. Caitlin and everybody else in the chat. What's your favorite video of mine? Like, what's your favorite topic? Or do you remember what video you found me through? Like, yeah, let me know in the chat. I'd love to hear that. What's your favorite video of mine that comes to your mind? And also, if you can remember how you found me, leave it in the chat. I'd love to see. Okay, reading you guys. Tips of getting into activism when you're an introvert. Well, that's me. That is me. So yes. I mean, I think it's the same with public speaking. It just takes practice. And I think I think I'm an introverted person, but I think more than being introverted, I struggle with confidence. I don't have a lot of confidence in myself, and also something I'm working on in therapy. So I'm always working on that, but I think it just takes time, right? Time and practice and exposure. I find it very cathartic to challenge myself, and I never want to stop trying to grow, learn new things, like just grow as a person. And to me, making myself uncomfortable is the key to that. And obviously, as an introvert, doing in-person activism makes me uncomfortable, but it's something that I repeatedly make myself do because it's the only way I'm going to grow. That's just me. Okay. So that's the advice I could give you because that's my position. But I am embarking on very much like doing more work in my local community, talking to more people, doing more tabling events, doing more meetups, like meeting people and going to like my city council meetings, all those sort of things. And as I do that, I am actively learning how to do more activism as an introvert. And so that's why I was saying, like, I think it would be a really interesting and helpful book on how to build community and make changes in your community as someone who is neurodivergent, super introverted, and not confident in themselves. That's what I'm like, that's a journey I'm actively on right now, and something I hope to be able to give more advice on in the future when I've conquered those fears and those problems. Or it's not, in being an introvert is not a problem, but obviously it's a barrier to doing more activism. But I think just starting small, like the tomorrow or today or tomorrow, I guarantee you somewhere near you there's an Earth Day event. I'm going to one in San Antonio tomorrow that I'm very excited about. And there'll be like tabling events, right? Different activist groups, organizations, people in your community making a difference. And you can go and you can go and interact as minimally or as much as you want. And so that's a good way to start. Like literally look up the closest Earth Day event to you, go to it, walk by the booths as many times as an introvert, I'm just telling you what I do. Walk by the booths as many times as you need to catch the vibe, or to catch them at the right time where there's not a lot of people around to like listen to you speaking or asking questions. Talk to the people who look like your introverted self can handle, and yeah, start small and keep going. That's my advice. That's what's worked for me. So I hope that's helpful. Would you want to create your own nonprofit over joining the EPA? It's so hard to answer. Okay, so as I'm thinking about that, the things going through my mind are, I used to work for TCEQ, which is basically the Texas state version of the EPA. We do the same thing, but at the state of Texas level. And as a low-level employee, right, I was like the lowest entry-level natural resource specialist enforcement coordinator that there was, because that was my first job ever. It's miserable. You're not making changes. You're not, you have no input on legislation. You don't really get to make any decisions, obviously. And it was miserable because of that, because I was getting cases from BP and Exxon and Shell and a bunch of other smaller oil and gas companies as well. But the big companies were always the most frustrating ones, because I got to know their names. They got to know me. They showed up on my desk repeatedly over and over again. And basically my job was to give them the fine for the fucked up shit that they did. It's basically enforcing regulations. That's what that level of job was. So if you ask me if I want that level of job or starting my own nonprofit, of course I would rather start a nonprofit. But like as a young environmentalist, my dream was to start at that job, work my way up to like EPA administrator or somewhere within the committee, the cabinet that is in the environmental what is it called? The cabinet part of the environmental committee. Oh, excuse me. Anyway, to make the decisions, to implement the regulations, to make changes. If I could get that high up there without having to go through all the low level soul killing stuff at the bottom, then yeah, I would love to do that, obviously. But that's really, I don't think I could suffer through the things I did when I was a low level employee again. I think there are people who are suited for those jobs. That's not me, unfortunately. But right, like there's different parts of the environmental movement, and especially when we talk about jobs, that people are better at than me. Like obviously I'm better than other people would be at public speaking, communicating complicated like ideas, creating content. That's needed, and I'm pretty good at it. I'm not so good at being a low level employee in the state or the government. But some people I worked with absolutely were, and they were determined to make their way up and make changes. So we need everybody. But if you're asking me specifically if I would want to be an EPA just employee or start a nonprofit, I'd much rather do my own thing. I thought, okay. I wanted to look through your comments and see what your favorite videos of mine were, and I started talking. Let's see, ranking sustainable companies. Those are your favorite videos. Your video about banking made a huge impact on me. I ditched Chase because of it. That's what's up, Jessica. That's what I like to hear. Fuck JP Morgan Chase, you guys. Get your money out of them as soon as you can. I'm not kidding. It's insane how much they're contributing to oil and gas expansion. Okay. Credit cards are different. I was talking about this recently. There's not a lot of really good like eco-friendly, fossil fuel divested specific credit cards. But the difference is keeping your money in a bank account. The banks can use that money to invest in fossil fuel projects. Like that's literally what banks do. That's why they don't charge you, because as that money sits there, they're investing that money. And I saw a study that your money that's sitting in a bank can be invested up to 26 times, 26 different projects while it's sitting in your bank account. So that's why we don't want to store money in Chase. But if you have a credit card, it's different because you're not storing money and you're not giving them money either. If you pay off your credit card every month, you're not giving them shit. So I think maintaining credit cards with these companies is a little bit different. But as far as storing your money and using it as a bank or debit or checking account, get your money out of it. All the big banks. Chase is the worst, but just get your money out of them. But I love that, Jessica. Thank you so much. Okay, what other videos? I like the ones where you rank brands. I find that so interesting that people like those, and obviously that's why I make them, because people like them. But I don't buy shit you guys. Like I do these videos on ranking brands and I don't buy from most of them. I try to buy everything I absolutely can secondhand. And so I find it really interesting that people like for me and talk about ranking brands. I could do a whole video on that topic, actually. I actually had like one topic I really want to touch on. I'll talk about it. Well, I guess it's in reference to this. So I actually get asked a lot when I post pictures on Instagram, or recently I had a TikTok and an Instagram video go viral where I'm talking about how to store your food. And like so many of the comments are not even focused on how to store your food. So many of the comments were, where's your dress from? Where'd you get those containers? Like those sort of questions, which is really frustrating to me because I'm just trying to show up and help people prevent waste from like wasting their food. But people have this like knee-jerk reaction to want to buy the things they see. And it's my really my only interaction with my content reaching outside of my audience and seeing the toxic consumerist culture that is existing on all these platforms, that people see something that they like and they want it. Like, oh, I also actually posted on my story, like I was talking about something that the snack I made, and I had this peace sign bowl that's vintage. I got it from a thrift store like years ago, but it's like a wooden peace sign bowl, and nobody responded to that story to talk about like the climatarian like aspect of the post. I was saying like how different foods you eat have different impacts on the environment. Like that's what I was trying to communicate. But because I had this bowl, the only responses I got were like, where'd you get that bowl? Where can I get that bowl? Can you send me a link to that bowl? And I just like, it's like very much a realization that people just like see shit they think is cool and they want to buy it. And that's not the type of influencer I've ever wanted to be. Like I'm always trying so hard to be like, don't impulse shop, don't buy things new, always check secondhand first. Like that is literally my mission. So to see so many comments just asking where people can buy shit, oh God, that might also be why my mental health was like a little bit like this last week. Cause it sucks to see that. And I think that it's interesting that the ranking brands videos have become some of the things that people like the most, because I'm not here to be like, you guys suck because you want to see the ranking brands videos. But I think it's good to know which brands are good when you need to buy something. Like, that when I make those videos, that's what I'm telling myself, that I'm telling people what brands are good and are not when they need to buy something, because I also feel like I'm constantly saying like, don't buy shit. But I just find it so interesting that those videos are things that people want to see, because to me, I just like, I avoid giving them my money at all costs. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but let me know what you guys think in the chat. I'll also read your chats. Yeah, I just find it really interesting. Sarah says, I would love to see some collabs with moms who are low waste when out of the house with their families. I don't know a lot of people who do this and have kids. I'm kind of waiting for when I have kids to make all of that content. And definitely like collabs as far as when I'm, also thank you, Sarah, for your $10. I really appreciate that. You guys definitely are very sweet, too kind to me. But I know a couple people I can recommend to you. So first of all, Amber from Fairly Local Family, I think is her name now. Definitely check. And also, if anybody knows of any people who have kids and focus on sustainability, drop their names in the chat and you guys can go check them out. Amber, I always recommend her, Fairly Local Family. She's kind of like the only person I'm aware of that like talks about sustainable living and has kids. I honestly can't think of anybody else. You guys can leave them in the chat because I really don't know. Oh, and Ashley on Instagram. Let me see. What is her username? She has a baby. Hey, Ashley Renee on Instagram. Oh, she just hit 100K. Good for her. I did too. It's very exciting. Anyway, this is Ashley. She has a baby and she makes a lot of content about her baby. So you can definitely go check her out too. Amber and Ashley. I hope that's helpful. If you check the chat, you guys might know better than me. But yeah, I hope that's helpful, Sarah. Thank you so much for the $10. Oh, okay. This is a big time. I think I might make a whole video about this. Well, not about this one brand, but like about this type of idea. Thoughts on Parade. So, if you guys, please tell me, I'm not the only person who has been absolutely bombarded by Parade ads. They're a supposedly sustainable underwear brand. Oh, you know what I think I might do? I'm gonna turn this light back on. I might do another video where I talk about brands that are following you around Instagram and like ranking or like talking about them and if they're sustainable or not. Because this brand, Parade, you guys, are they following you around? Because they're following me around, and they claim to be able to make sustainable, ethical underwear for under $8, which I find interesting because they're the only ones who do that at that price point anyway. Which I think, like, obviously, pricing is a good thing for accessibility, but ethics are also important. Like people being paid a living wage that are making your goods. I haven't done a deep dive on Parade, and so like I said, I might make another one of those videos about ads following you around Instagram. You can always let me know any other brands you want to see in that. Actually, I'll ask on Instagram. If you guys aren't following me on Instagram, take a second, go do that because I ask for help on videos there all the time. And basically what I'll do is I'll put up a little question box in my story and say what brands ads are following you around. Tell me, and then I'll make a video. I haven't done a deep dive into Parade, but my initial thoughts are seems a little bit hyper consumerism considering their ads are on my TikTok and Instagram every second of every day. And the prices don't seem to match what you would think you need to meet ethical standards for production. That's my initial thoughts. But oh yeah. Okay. What else? I have a whole video on my thoughts about Tesla. I saw someone ask about that. I linked it in the chat earlier. Definitely just like look up Shelbizleee electric vehicles. Let's see. Okay, so Emma, if you guys have seen Emma in the chat, she's helping me moderate and she's sending me your questions so that I can see the chat over here. And she said, human composting yourself. And she said, huh? Like, she's like, what? Yeah. I actually know that there were so many different ways to do, like, be like more eco-friendly with it. Oh, there's Tippy. So cute. With a burial service, like there are so many different ways to be more sustainable with your body when you die. But I just recently found out about this one company that does human composting, like very specific human composting. Oh, damn it. Am I going to be able to find it? I found them on TikTok. It's so hard for me to keep track of all the things that I think are cool. I'm sure if you Google it, it'll come up. Let me just see really quick if I can find it. Probably not. Nothing I can find is ever quick. Wait, I think Madison sent it to me. Oh, no, here it is. So the company is called Return Home Nor. Return Home Nor. I'm not really sure what that means, but this is them. And yeah, I think it's really, I mean, obviously, I think not pumping toxic chemicals like formaldehyde into your body when you die and then putting yourself in an expensive box that will never break down and then putting it in the ground and taking up land space. I can't even believe that we've done that throughout human history. I don't know how that's quite literally sustainable. Like, I don't know how that is possible to be carried on for as long as it has been and for much longer, you know what I mean? So I think that's a cool option. And I think there's actually a content creator here on YouTube. I wish I could say her name. Maybe someone ask a mortician. Yes, thank you, Shelly. She has a whole video on like green burials because she focuses on that. And like I say, I'm not an expert, obviously, like in talking about green burials. So she's an expert in that in burials, and she found some sustainable things. I think it'd be cool to do like a collaboration on that. But go check out her video because I think she probably has a lot more information than me. I'm not planning on dying anytime soon. But if I did, I think that compost option is kind of cool. I like how Emma was so distraught about the questions about composting yourself. Have you seen anything on Mighty Fix? Yes, I don't love Mighty Fix because I don't love subscription boxes that send you things that you don't need. Or not that you don't need, that you didn't consciously think you need. I think Mighty Fix has become something more than... Oh, wait. Am I thinking of something else? I'm thinking Mighty Nest. Let me look them up. I mean, I'm not really trying to rank brands right now. That's really not the focus I'm trying to give. Oh, no. Hold on. I'm thinking of Mighty Nest. I don't know what Mighty Fix is, so sorry. Skip that. Okay, also, what was I going to tell you? Okay, so I made this list. Someone in the community tab, because I asked what questions you wanted to cover in the live stream, someone said effective actions and habits for systemic change, or whatever is wider than individual contributions. So I made a little list, and I think I might make a whole video about this, blog post, maybe something like that. But I made a little list to tell you guys, because obviously Earth Day should be about more than just what we're buying. Like, I struggle because making content about things other than how to live more sustainably individually is very hard. And I think that's why there's not as much content out there about it. But I think that especially on Earth Day, we should talk about ways to get involved in making change, because that's what Earth Day was founded on activism and protecting the planet, not just making better choices as individuals. So I made this little list to tell you things that you can do outside of yourself. Listen, as an introvert who's very busy, I understand not everybody has time to do all of these things, but I think that if we're trying to do more than what we're already doing, focusing our energy on these sort of things is a good option. So here's my list: strikes and protests. I recently attended a Fridays for Future strike. I think those are really important. I think paying attention to when ones are coming up is good. In your area, Futures for Friday is a really good website. Fridays for Future. Good way to keep track of different strikes happening. And trying to think. That's where I normally pay attention. But your city and stuff like that, I wish they would do another March for Science, because that one was like huge when I attended it in like 2017. I wish they would do that again. Anyway, yeah, staying informed on strikes and protests is really important for, obviously, action outside of yourself. Petitions. Normally, if you follow different like organizations in your city and in your state, they will help you with petitions. So I follow like a bunch of different wildlife pages from Instagram, from Texas, and I always find petitions through them. Organizations, nonprofits, those sort of things will share petitions. Signing petitions is important. Voting, also very important. Dude, I thought you only vote like once a year. Obviously, a lot of people think voting is only every 4 years, because the federal elections get so much more attention in the U.S. specifically. And then I thought like voting for your city or your state and city was maybe every 2 years, maybe every 1 year. We just voted in March, and I'm voting again in May. Or was it in March? February. I feel like I just voted, and I have to vote again in May. So, like, just voting. Paying attention to when voting is actually happening in your local community can be much more impactful in making larger scale change than thinking you're going to convince, like, the EPA to do anything. So, voting in your city. Attending city council meetings is also a great way to get involved. A lot of them are online these days. Ever since COVID, the city of San Antonio, it's online, and they're looking at the chat, and like someone is reading out our comments. So that's really great, like figuring out when your city council meetings are. And if your specific like climate action committees have their own meetings, sustainability, infrastructure, all those sort of things. Find out, get involved. So doing that, serving as a member on your city council commissions and committees can also be really good. I'm like actively working on that right now to get on a committee here in San Antonio. Fingers crossed, because they didn't pick me last time, but fingers crossed. And then joining an organization or starting to start campaigns. So they're also like big organizations that have like little chapters in cities and states and stuff. So things like the Sunrise Movement, Citizens, what is it? Climate Citizens? 350 organizations. So many different organizations have little individual chapters. You can join one of those, or just one that's like in your city or state in general. Tabling, like I've been saying, tabling at events like Earth Day events. I guarantee you, try to find one in your area today or tomorrow. I promise you there's probably one. Just talking to people in the community at tabling events. Community events, like organizations giving hosting like talks, like the things I'm doing today, and also workshops. Different types of like workshops in your community to bring people together to learn how to make changes is really good. Always writing to brands and local businesses is another way to influence change larger than yourself. find out where and then another one, find out who your district representative is. So with your city council, you have a district representative. Learn who they are, because they probably don't have a lot of people talking to them, honestly. And I recently learned that I can like have a direct line of communication with my district council member, which is great. So, and then like also your congressmen and your senators, definitely like staying informed on things that they're voting on and telling them which way you would like them to vote. Donating to eco organizations, they need help beyond Earth Day. Like, I'm sure their donations go up so high because of Earth Day, but they need our support all year round. A couple of my favorites are Earth Justice. They're a really good one. Intersectional Environmentalists are two that I'm making donations to for Earth Day today. So check them out. And then volunteering. I honestly really wanted to host a cleanup today, and I just like wasn't able to get it together in time. So you can just like go outside and start picking up trash. When I say volunteer, like that's really simple. But also different organizations in your city, like a community garden, you can go volunteer there. Different sort of cleanups. I really also like volunteering at the local animal sanctuary where I live. So yeah, those are all sort of things we can do bigger than ourselves. And I hope that hopefully you pick like at least one of those and do it. Oh, did I miss somebody's super chat? I'm so sorry. I was reading off of my list. Okay, Miss Honey. Love that. Slay. Okay, I find thrifting to be difficult to find things that fit and are my style. Online thrifting is hard too. Often can't return if, items don't fit. Any tips to find your style and fit thrifting? I find it really interesting when people say like thrift stores don't have their style or size, because thrift stores have different things every single day. So if you go once and they don't have something that you like I understand that, but like the key to thrifting really is going often. And obviously it's a privilege to have the time to be able to go often. I understand. But I also think that at the end of the day, buying things that we're going to wear long term is really sustainable. So instead of always thinking like you need to get new stuff, even if you buy it new, which is not, I don't advocate for that. I've managed to not buy fast fashion for the last, I always say I'm so bad at it, like 7 years. And no, more than that, since 2011. Oh, fuck, that's like 10 years. Holy shit, that's crazy. Okay, anyway, yeah, and I just have always managed to be able to, clothing is something that like you probably already have enough clothes. If you want to buy new things, it's not urgent, it's not mandatory, it's not necessary. Sometimes it is, I understand, but in general, I think taking the time to find things that you like secondhand is important. And specifically when thrifting online, I like to stick to certain brands that I know what styles I like, what sizes I like, or what sizes fit me, and that have my style. If like Madison has this pair of Levi's that she's obsessed with, like she thrifted, she loves them. They've got holes everywhere in them. And I keep telling her, you know the exact style of jean you like. Just look it up on Poshmark. You know the size you need. Just go do that. And I do that a lot. Like this shirt is from Old Navy. I know I love Old Navy. I know what size I wear. I always go on Poshmark, search by Old Navy and my size, and boom, there's everything that would be for me. So I guess that is a tangible tip. Sometimes I'm bad at these things with the tangible tips. But definitely I think like working within brands that you have repeatedly found work for you and prioritizing that, and also prioritizing using what you already have, because what you already have is the most sustainable option. And thrifting is not something where you walk into a thrift store and it's always going to be good. That's just a reality of thrift shopping. And I think that it's okay to denormalize, or I don't know how to say it. I guess to normalize not getting instant gratification. Like I think our culture is built so much on walk into a store, buy that thing, instant gratification, but then not valuing those things not really being your style, or at least they might not be a week later, a month later, those sort of things. And I think we just need to get out of this habit of like, I need this thing right now, if that helps. I don't know, and I swear to God, I'm never trying to come across as like preachy or like you have to do this thing, and if you buy anything new, you're awful. That's absolutely not what I'm saying. But I think as a culture, we've just gotten so used to, I want it, Ariana Grande song, I want it, I bought it. I want it, I bought it. And I just think like we need to get away from that. So patience is a virtue for sure. Yeah. Okay. What I'm looking at my iPad again. It's right here. We only have a few more minutes, so get your questions in, and because I have another talk in 4 minutes, so I have to go. Let me just find one more question, and then we'll leave it off. So throw your questions in the chat. Let's see. Oh, this is a good question. Emma's gonna love this. Do you have a Discord? I'd love to have an eco-friendly Discord server. I can brainstorm these kind of questions with other similar-minded people. So, as I've said, one of my biggest goals for this year is to build community. And I'm focusing that very much on where I live and in person, tangible things. But yes, we are starting a Discord. After we get through the craziness of Earth Month, give me like another couple weeks. But yes, we're starting a Discord, and Emma's going to help me. Emma's very excited. Emily, she's in the chat. That's my assistant, if you guys didn't know. She's my lifesaver, and she's probably the only reason I have not lost my mind this month. But yeah, she's going to help me start a Discord, and we will have that up and running probably next month for you. So that was a good question. Awesome. Good one to leave off on. Okay. Thank you guys so much for being here. I absolutely love doing this. I say this every time, but I'll try to do them more. It's just hard to like proactively think about time to set aside to do it. But I love this. Thank you so much for being here. Go follow me on Instagram. And yeah, I'll see you in my next video.